show that goes for. But again, starting with The Rock again, disappoints me. It's a slap in the face, and I think this is kind of they really did play it smart though. I mean, how else are you going to get The Rock to come to a Hall of Fame other than inducting him, which is probably too little. I mean, a little too early yet. How, Peter Maivia and Rocky Johnson, how's he going to say no to that? It's his family. You got to say yes. Speaking of the Hall of Fame, the greatest wrestler in professional wrestling history, the wheelin' dealin', kiss stealin', limousine riding, jet flying son of a gun, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, is going into the Hall of Fame this year. And how does that make you feel too? I mean, many wrestling fans these days, I'm a little bit too young to probably have seen Ric Flair in his prime. I look at, his DVD that he has, the Ultimate Ric Flair collection. You look for his matches wherever. I'm pretty sure you'll find some of his old style matches. But Ric Flair is the best wrestler of all time, and he's finally getting his recognition. He has come full circle. The night before WrestleMania, he's going into the Hall of Fame. And Ric Flair, you really can't, there is a debate. People always say, who is the greatest wrestler of all time? Without a doubt, whenever I get into that debate, I always throw Ric Flair in there. You know why? Because he's had longevity. The only other person that could possibly put up a challenge to Ric Flair as greatest wrestler of all time is The Undertaker. The Undertaker still has a couple of generations to go yet. I mean, look at where Ric Flair started, back in the early 70s. That's when he was building to become great. The 80s, he became great. The 90s, he built on his greatness. And for this past almost 10 years, he has built on his greatness and let us younger kids, like me, teenagers, people in their 20s, people that are, a little bit young still, to watch Ric Flair. Not exactly in his prime, not exactly where he wants to be, not holding a world title, not being the best, top guy in the company. But Ric Flair has spanned 4 decades in this business. And you look at many wrestlers, and they really don't do that. Luthez and Frank got good in their time because they were straightforward wrestlers. A guy like Bruno Sammartino, great in his time. Hardworking guy from Pittsburgh, what have you, in the 60s, 70s, whenever he held that title, he was the man. The years of the blue-collar man, if you will. Ric Flair came in, and he has moved on with the fans, the generations of fans. Hulk Hogan, same thing. Great in the 80s. I mean, that was the Goodyear era. That was like the Ronald McDonald type era, where everybody was all this kiddie stuff. Hulk Hogan fit in well. And then Hulk Hogan tried doing it again with the NWO, continuing on, becoming the Rebel. And then recently, as we hit the terrorist attacks and everything, everybody goes back to this kind of kiddie thing. Everybody's kind of sensitive now. Everybody's trying to get that soft side. They go back to the kiddie angles and stuff. Hulk Hogan went back to being the old Hulk Hogan, but the thing is, Hulk Hogan demanded too much money and he did not stay around. Ric Flair has never demanded too much money. He has been undercompensated, in my opinion, from what I hear, for what he's done for professional wrestling. And Ric Flair is the best wrestler of all time because he has not had to change his gimmick. He has always been the Nature Boy. He lives his gimmick. And that's the thing that many people don't do these days, and that's live their gimmicks. Ric Flair lived his gimmick to the fullest at its peak. And Ric Flair is the greatest wrestler of all time because he has stayed with the times by not changing his gimmick. I mean, he tweaked it a little bit here or there, cut his hair, did this, new robes, did that. He stayed the same. He's still the same old Nature Boy. And at WrestleMania, he is wrestling the guy that he thought that finally made him realize that greatness can be challenged. And that is Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair. This is going to be a phenomenal match. Usually. And it's got to be a big relief for both these guys because they're great friends outside of the ring. And it's a great relief because if you don't know this term, I'm going to bring it to you right now. It's called a common denominator. These are wrestlers that, okay, give it Triple H, for example. Triple H is a common denominator. Or a Ric Flair. Or a Shawn Michaels. And they'll take a guy like Carlito, or Chris Masters, or even Santino Marella, wrestle the guy and make him look like a superstar because they have the ability to bring out the best in their opponents and to hide their flaws. And most of the time, like with Chris Masters and Carlito and Santino Marella and those kind of guys, there are a lot of flaws. Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair can both always have to worry about what can I do to make this match look better, and they have to go the extra mile, do something different, something more, risky or anything or something like that to make the match look good because their opponent cannot hold up their end that well. But Flair and Shawn Michaels, it's not going to be a bout of, oh my god, I got to carry my opponent, I got to pick him up. It's going to be, I got to top this guy. I guarantee you it's going to be a back and forth, topping each other battle. Flair's going to do something great, then Shawn Michaels will do something great, and then Flair will do something great again, and then Shawn Michaels will follow that up. It'll go back and forth for the entire match, and that's going to make this match so great. I love matches like this, because I hate matches where you make one misstep because you're a common denominator. Sometimes it's not always a good thing. Because you make one misstep, your opponent, he can't pick that misstep up, and it's just going to tumble like a roll of dominoes. It's going to fall all down. The match is just going to suck because your opponent sucks. But none of these guys have a single flaw in them, and that's going to make this a great match. I guarantee you this match will be a candidate for Match of the Year. Match of the Year between Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels. And what surprises me the most is that Shawn Michaels or Ric Flair have not turned heel for this feud. I thought Shawn Michaels would turn heel because he did that with Hulk Hogan. And he did a great job at it, and that's when Shawn Michaels was at his best, when he's a heel. Ric Flair, the exact same thing, when he's winning by the skin of his teeth, as the heel. It is classic Ric Flair, and it is classic Shawn Michaels. Both those guys are heels, but both these guys are coming in as baby faces, as friends, if you will. They're coming in because they really are friends. But they're coming in kind of as a farewell, goodwill type match. Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair. Shawn Michaels is going to wrestle his idol, and Ric Flair is going to wrestle the guy that finally made him realize his greatness could be challenged by someone, and that someone was Shawn Michaels back in 1998. Cecil right in his book. If I knew the page right now, I'd bring it out and I'd read it to you. I would. I'm that crazy and that retarded and that dorky. But Ric Flair does say in his book, and I've read his book a lot to know he said this, that when his son asked him if he could do a moonsault like Shawn Michaels, and he knew he couldn't. He knew his greatness was being challenged by somebody. And finally, we're going to see who is the greater one of these two. I hate to say it's Ric Flair's final match, but you know what? It's probably going to be, and it's going to be a good farewell match. Sending Rick off with a bang. It's kind of thing you don't want to imagine. Kind of like how today, it's being a Tuesday, I'm recording this show, and today we found out Brett Favre retires. Who would have thought that in a million years? You can't imagine football or even the Green Bay Packers without Brett Favre. I'm pretty sure for a lot of wrestling fans, you can't imagine wrestling without Ric Flair. It's just one of those guys, just like Brett Favre. Brett Favre and Ric Flair are two guys you can't imagine anything without. You can't imagine a sport of football or an organization without these guys because they're both so great. But they're both going to be gone. Brett Favre will be Hall of Fame someday. Ric Flair already has a spot being made for him in that Hall of Fame. Alright, well that does it for me for this week. Again, check out the next show. It's an on-location show. We do that little journey. We're going to be on a Raw host show. I will give you a pre-show and a post-show thing afterwards, telling you everything that happened. We will try meeting a couple of wrestlers. I will try talking to some of the fans to think of their opinions before the show and after the show. It is going to be an awesome show. The first time that Scott's Wrestling World goes on location. Scott's Wrestling World, SWW, hits the road this coming Sunday when we go to the Raw host show. And after that, couple of days afterwards, you can check it out. So this Sunday is when I'm taping the new show, and then a couple of days afterwards, it should be up on YouTube and wherever you can find my videos. Again, check out my MySpace page, myspace.com/Scott's Wrestling World. Got a couple of friends added on to me now through this show, and I thank you for that. I'm still looking for more comments, more messages, anything from you people. If you're a friend of mine already, like I said, talk to me. If you're not, become a friend of mine and let's talk. Leave me some messages. Leave me a comment about what you think of my show, what you think of my comments. And let's not forget, this weekend, Eric Gargiulo has a pro wrestling radio show so far, and I will be calling in as Scott from Michigan. So be sure to tune in for that. I will continue my Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels discussion with Eric Gargiulo. He's a huge Ric Flair fan. I'm pretty sure he's going to want to talk about it and a couple other topics. And that pretty much does it for me this week. Again, ProWrestlingRadio.com, WBCB1490.com. Check out his show. Check it out. WBCB 1490 AM is where you can hear his show on the AM dial. and again on MySpace page, myspace.com/Scott's Wrestling World. Don't forget the next week's show on location. SWW is going to Green Bay. We are going to a Raw host show. We are going to Green Bay, Wisconsin. Green Bay, Wisconsin. Scott's Wrestling World is coming to you.